It's the Tuesday session for Bitcoin. We got several more hours in the trading session left. Just wanted to do a very, very short update just to review some of my indicators with you, let you look at them. My signals, which are correct, remain bearish. We have major sell signals in the weekly and the monthly time frame. The monthly MACD is confirming a bear market. If we get that bearish cross by the end of the month. The weekly chart confirmed a bear market on Sunday. I warned you last week we would get a short-term bottom and a bounce. We got that short-term bottom on Friday with the bottoming tail. We're getting a bounce. Once this bounce is done, the selling should resume, and we should see a divergence eventually develop on the RSI in the daily time frame. Right now, Bitcoin, as we're in the Tuesday session here, with several more hours to go, we're down 0.76%. We had bottoming tail on Friday. Over the weekend, we tried to bounce there on Sunday. On Sunday, we were up. We were up on Sunday here by 2.5%. And then on Monday, we were up by 1.70%. We had bottomed at 80,000. Currently, we're at 87,669. So we've moved up nearly $8,000 off of that low. And eventually, again, I think you will take out the 80,000 level. The longer term time frames are bearish, and this is telling us that, again, one, Bitcoin is likely topped. Two, Bitcoin has started a bear market. And three, that 80,000 is not the bottom, that we're going lower. And I think you're going to sell off into late December or on into January, more likely January. And that's when I think the Fed will do the emergency have an emergency meeting and do emergency rate cuts. But I think the stock market, which is just barely now forming the right shoulder of the head and shoulders, which Bitcoin already got back up at the top. Bitcoin had already had the head and shoulders pattern set up, and we saw this breakdown and back test and this sell-off. Stock market's right here. It's setting up this right shoulder with the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 and even NVIDIA to play catch up, and that's why I think Bitcoin's going to end up going lower into January. And usually the bear markets are 40 to 50%. The smallest one we've had was 45% to kick off the bear market, and the bear markets themselves are 80 to 90% for Bitcoin. But yet nobody thinks that's possible, but yet that's what it's done in the past. Absolutely incredible. So right now we'll see what happens here, how big this bounce is. I'll go through some of my indicators, let you look at them, and I'll try to be shorter this video. I've been going in depth, viewing everything that I'm looking at because I continue to follow that Wyckoff pattern, Wyckoff distribution model, and I believe that we are in crash wave 3, and that is in agreement with that Wyckoff distribution model. Last week, we got that 9 count. We went a little bit lower. I told you sometimes the 9 counts mark the turning points like they did back at the August peak, or here with the lower high with the counter trend to 116,000, or even here. Often it will mark a turning point. Sometimes you go beyond the 9 count, and then again, you get the rebound and the turning point. Again, it's likely we're going to get a counter trend, but it's going to be followed by a trend extension lower. Again, I'm not interested in this. This is nothing more than a counter trend to me. I look at it as never catch a falling knife. We're likely in crash wave 3 that's probably not over yet. And again, everybody keeps buying the dip that keeps on dipping, as I say. And again, there's no evidence of a bottom yet, and I still think you're going to, that's the April low at 74,000. I still think you're going probably beyond that, end up getting somewhere around a 50% drop or maybe more by the time this thing is done. That's what the bear markets usually do with Bitcoin. They kick off the bear market with a 40 or 50% drop. The last one was 52%. We've seen them 53%, 45%, over 60%. So I think it's reasonable to believe that Bitcoin's going to do that again. Let me just say something about the 9 count. With the 9 count, we've started a 13 count down sell or buy signal, and we've gotten up to bar 3. The 13 counts, they start and they stop, they pause. Once this counter trend is done, we should resume the decline, take out 80,000. You'll see this count resume, and eventually I think the 13 count will mark a bottom but at much lower levels. And again, a 9-13 pattern is a major reversal pattern. So it's likely that we're going to get this 9 giving us this bounce, but then we're going to, whenever this is done or however high it goes, we're going to get a trend extension that will take out this level and resume the 13 count to the downside. Will eventually give us the 40 to 50% drop on Bitcoin. So again, to me, this is nothing more than a counter trend, just as we've had these other counter trends that have been followed by new lows. I'm not interested in this bounce as far as, oh, I got to go long here, close my short positions. That's not what I'm doing. Continue to remain short on Bitcoin. I continue to say in every single video, any rally back up is a gift to the bears and an opportunity to the bulls to close long positions, but I doubt they do it. So I think we go lower, get a bigger drop, and then rally up to 90,000 or maybe the 90,000 range somewhere, mid to high to low 90,000 range, or above 100,000, back up to this 200 period moving average, by the way. Maybe we reach the 90,000 range right now with this rally. We'll see what happens. Again, I think it's just nothing more than a bounce. It's going to be followed by more selling. Please support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. You could take a moment to do that. I would appreciate it. Watch the video all the way through. I'm just going to be going through a bunch of my charts. Daily charts, like right here in the weekly time frame as well. And just letting you examine the charts and look at the signals. These are the charts I look at every day. The charts I use to make my decisions about Bitcoin. I'm just going to let you look at them because I think that they speak for themselves. These are the signals that got it right. These are the signals that called the top correctly and the sell-off correctly. So watch the video all the way through. I know everybody's busy traveling for Thanksgiving. Wanted to just go through some charts and let you look at them. They help me. I hope they help you. And if they help you, please consider supporting the channel. Thank you. Currently, Bitcoin has rallied up to the 10-period moving average, and we've stalled there. We hit it yesterday. We're stalling at it right now. If we get a bigger rally, I'll be watching the 20-period moving average. Be watching this low over here, because if we do have a 1 and a 2 for intermediate waves, then this could be intermediate wave 3. You could get intermediate wave 4 that can't go above this high or this low right here, which is the 98,000 area. So again, if that is intermediate wave 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then we get intermediate wave 5, and this whole thing's an extended crash wave, primary wave 3, and we have primary wave 1 here, primary wave 2 here, then you can get a bigger rally, and you can go up towards, the high 90,000 range. 98,000 was a low here, but you're likely going to get a lower high somewhere below this level if that is in fact that we have completed intermediate wave 3, and this is now intermediate wave 4. I talked about bouncing off of the low over here at 98,000, which we did do, and that gave us a bounce off the 50-week moving average, but then warned that I was getting warning signs that we were going to go down and break that level, and we ended up doing that. So this very well could be intermediate wave 3 and 4, and we could form a divergence. We could get a bigger rally towards the 20 period or even overthrow it, but not exceed this 98,000 area. And you could see a divergence form, or maybe even a triple bullish divergence if we end up taking out the 74,000 area. But again, I believe because the RSI reached extremes, there's no divergence on it. It's likely you're going to get this counter trend, maybe feeble, maybe bigger, we'll see, but you're going to go down and again get this test of 74,000 eventually. And you may try to bottom there. I think it's more likely you'll take out 74,000, get some kind of big bounce off of it. We talked about, but watching for a divergence to eventually develop here on the RSI, and also a divergence on the awesome oscillator in the daily time frame. And as the RSI reached extremes and started turning higher, we're now seeing that with the awesome oscillator. The awesome oscillator is getting a green bar today as we're stalling that 10-period moving average that I just showed you a moment ago. If we can eventually get above the 10 period, then you've got the 20 period, and then you've got the horizontal resistance at 98,000. So again, it's likely we're going to move back into the 90,000 range somewhere, low 90,000, mid 90,000, maybe it's even the high 90,000 if we get a big 90,000 range, if we get a bigger rally. The rally is going to fail. It's a counter trend, in my opinion. And again, there is no divergence on the awesome oscillator. And again, eventually, I think you're going to get the rally up here, maybe bigger, maybe smaller, who knows. But then again, you're going to come down and test 74,000 down here, reach the 74,000 area, and probably try to bounce at that level. And that's a 41% drop since when I called the top back on October 6th. Again, I'm predicting and have been predicting that we're going to see a 40 to 50% drop on Bitcoin and then a massive rally back up to form a right shoulder. Just bring it up closer. You can see we're getting the green bar. So again, I think this low from last Friday is going to hold even if we get a bigger pullback. But eventually, I think you're going to see green bars followed by more red bars and end up forming, a divergence on Bitcoin that will eventually take out 80,000, that will eventually take us back to test 74,000, eventually end up getting a 40 to 50% drop. You may try to bottom around 74,000 or just under it. The risk is that we're going down to 60 or 63,000. You end up getting 50% drop or maybe a little bit more, as we did when we kicked off the last bear market. Signals remain bearish on my indicators. Again, I got bottoming signals Friday and more over the weekend, mostly on Sunday. I told you I was expecting a bounce, but that's all I think it will be. Again, I'm not predicting we're going to go make new highs. I'm not predicting that the bottom's in and that the bull market is now resuming. The bull market is over based on the long-term time frames. People still, in denial, still drinking the Kool-Aid. Had somebody tell me yesterday, social media, I'm going to be sorry. I'm falling for the bear trap and all this other nonsense. The trap was up here. This was the bull trap. Going into resistance, the high in July and August and on into October. I saw evidence of a top. That's why I called a top the day of the top resistance, because I saw evidence of it, and I've been talking about it ever since. This is week 8 now. Still have people that, we've dropped 36% since I warned of the top and that we were starting a bear market and that we would crash a 40 to 50% to kick it off. And again, warned that we were probably in crash wave 3. I talked about the alternative of a leading diagonal scenario. Both were bearish in that we go lower. I'm talking about this. I've fallen. I'm so stupid. I've fallen for the bear trap. Down 36%. Hello? If you had listened to my signals and my calls, you would have caught the majority of that move, 36% decline. If you didn't, if you are a perma bull and on a steady diet of moon boy fake news and hoaxes, you've lost 36%. The moon boy cult, up is down and down is up. Do you not realize we just lost 36%? You're telling me I fell for a bear trap? The trap was the fake breakout into resistance. These people are absolutely pieces of work. Now, I'm just going to go through a bunch of my charts, let you look at them, let the charts speak for themselves. I'll make a few comments here and there, but I want to go through a bunch of my charts. I have great indicators. I create my own indicators. I've done an outstanding job of calling the top of a bounce here Friday and the weekend. Got some more signals, mostly on Sunday, and I expect a bounce. It goes as high as the high 90,000, somewhere just under 98,000. And if it does, it's going to fool the moon boys again. It's going to fool the experts again. The sell-off is not over. Believe me, that I can tell you. Bottoming signal last Friday, probably a counter trend like we had with the last bottoming signals over here. Signals remain bearish. Red bar still, the purple line right here is resistance. It was resistance all the way down over here. It was support all the way up until we went sideways, jumping up and above and below it. Now it's resistance. No bottoming signal here yet. Bitcoin broke the April trend line. It back tested it. And again, you're in a downtrend. This is a falling price channel. A series of lower highs and lower lows. Until the trend changes, you're in a downtrend, and any bounce is a counter trend rally. I talked about moving down 40 or 50%. By January, I think the Fed will do emergency rate cuts. You'll get a massive rally. The herd believes that that's bullish. It's not. It's bearish. It's going to be associated with the recession. Believe it's bullish because of what happened in 2020 and 2021, which was an outlier. The rate cuts are going to be associated with recession, like the bursting of the tech bubble and during the financial crisis. Be associated with the bear market in the stock market, which we have not had since 2009. And the 2022 sell-off was not a bear market. A major correction in the longer term bull market. So we're going to have a bear market, and that's going to take a wrecking ball to Bitcoin. This is what I think is happening. Again, I think you'll end up getting a bigger soft 40 to 50%, probably closer to 50, and then a massive rally back up. Make it up to into the 90,000 range right now. Again, a gift to the bears, opportunity for the bulls to close long positions. We may come back to the 90,000 after we lose, if we reach it and then lose it, we may come back to it over here in the first quarter, maybe on into the early part of the second quarter of 2026, but likely in that first quarter, you're going to get a massive rally into March or April or something into 2026. You may go above 100,000 or into the 90,000 range. In my opinion, 116,000, as I said, was the final exit point. The final exit point, and the top was 126. I told you back then, you may not see 116,000 until the next cycle. As I warned, if that was wave 2, you're going to get crash wave 3, and that's why I'm saying that. This first leg down. Now again, I'm playing a longer term position, short position, that I'm going to ignore all the price fluctuations. I have another couple of trades going on where I'm playing the swing trade to the downside. I plan on closing my swing trade down here somewhere between 60,000 to 74,000 and taking a long position and riding it back up and then trying to go short all over here. I'm a trader, okay? I'm a swing trader. I play the swings. Down here, I'm going to get bullish as I got bullish back over here. Up here at resistance, I got bearish. Down here at support, I got bullish. Down here, likely see evidence of a bottom in my personal opinion. That's not a recommendation to buy or sell Bitcoin or anything else. I'm just telling you my strategy of what I'm doing. Well, the bottom's in here. No, the bottom's not in here yet. We're going lower. This is another counter trend to fake the moon boys out, to fake the experts out, all now calling another bottom. It's not the bottom. Okay, enough of that. I will just start going through the charts now, flipping through them more to talk a little bit about my trading tactics, though, with Bitcoin, my swing trading. Again, we're bouncing off the support area here. We're likely going to go deeper into it. Mark the support levels, resistance. Please support the channel with the link directly below. Most YouTube channels, they get sponsors and they sell you stuff or send you to exchanges. I don't want to do that. I don't want to sell you anything. I don't want to send you to some exchange. I don't have any affiliate links. The exchanges will pay me money to send you to them. How do I know that they're on the level? How do I know they're not going to go belly up? How do I know they're not going to try to get you all leveraged up to wipe you out? That's what a lot of them do. So I choose not to do that, but I just ask that you support the channel. Anything helps. But just let me know you want me to do this. You like the chart. You like the information by supporting the channel. I need to hear from you in order to make that work. If you could just take a moment to step up to the plate and help out, I would really appreciate it. Just follow the link below to take you to a secured site. You could donate any amount you want. Make it a recurring donation. If you do that, I thank you. But if you could take a moment to help out, I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you for your consideration for that. Let's go through the charts here. Again, we got another signal here on Sunday. Let me just say this. If we do get the bigger rally into maybe the mid to high 90,000 range, again, it's going to be very deceptive. It's going to create the illusion, oh, the bottom's in, here we go, don't miss out. And again, when it's going to be nothing more than a counter trend. Got the signal here Sunday. Bars have flipped back to blue. Beautiful sell signal at the top there. Marked the counter trend here for 116,000, and then we've had these sell signals. I got a more major signal here, so we might get the bigger bounce into the 90, mid to high 90,000 level, or somewhere coming back up to test this area here, much like what we had over here, this counter trend here. Rather than something smaller, it might be a little bit bigger. Something smaller, but it might be bigger. Beautiful, beautiful sell signal at the top. Bars remain bearish here in the weekly time frame. Again, you probably get a bounce and then go lower as we did. Eventually, you're making your way back to the 200 here, probably towards 60 to 63,000 above this level. It's right around 57,000 right now on the 200-week moving average. So again, I think you're going to end up taking out 74,000 and moving down here somewhere, and then I think you get the bigger bounce back towards the 50-week moving average that take us back to the 90,000 range again, or above that to 100,000, which again is still at risk of not happening if we get the bigger sell-off. Bars are green here, but no bottoming signal here yet. Sometimes they don't form. We didn't have a topping signal right there. I got it on other signals. Again, as I said last week, I expected a bottom and a bounce. We're getting it. We got these bottoming signals on Friday. We're getting this bounce. Pointed out back up at the top that we were following this Wyckoff distribution, schematic pattern number 1, with the two peaks over here breaking out and then filling. I pointed this out since the top, following this thing pretty spot on. And if we get this bounce again, you can see Wyckoff was suggesting we get a bounce. Well, we're getting what? A bounce. And if we get a bigger bounce, all by more selling, again, we're going down to 74,000. We're going to retrace all of this just as we did with the Wyckoff distribution model. We're following this thing pretty closely. Not perfectly, but pretty closely. Suggested a bounce. What's happening? We're getting a bounce. This is one of the reasons why I told you I was looking for a bounce or a bottom last week to be followed by a bounce this week. We're continue to follow this. That again, we are in the crash wave 3 of the 5-leg push lower. Signals continue to nail it. Bar still red. And, I've talked about and no bottoming signal here. Last one we got was a counter trend. This one was a counter trend. Nailed the top up there. But again, I've talked about how over here we were red, and you got big rallies, and you still were red. Here you were red. You turned back to bullish, but then you still went to a new low. It reverted. It was just a counter trend. So again, signals are still bearish here. If we get a bigger rally towards 98,000, then again, you might see some signals try to turn bullish like we did right here. Turned bullish briefly and then reverted right back to bearish. Turned bullish briefly, turned back to bearish. Turned bullish briefly, turned back to bearish. So you might see, if we get a bigger rally, you might see some of my signals try to turn back to bullish for the short term. Signals remain bearish. I got some bottoming signals. I believe this is nothing more than a counter trend. And here we got the signal on Sunday. Along with several signals on Sunday. The trend is still bearish, but again, I got warning signs of a short-term bottom and that a bounce would happen. Again, did a great job of calling these tops for a triple top. Some of these bottoms, here was a counter trend. If we can get above the 10-period moving average, watch the 20-period in the daily time frame. Not seen here, but again, you could rally towards that 20-period if you can get above the 10 there in the daily time frame. bar is still red here. The trend's still red and bearish. Got a bullish signal here on Monday here for a possible short-term bounce. Again, trending signals are still bearish. Bars are still red. Now, another reason why I think we're going lower, and this is a counter trend, is there's no divergence here with the intraday time frame. Remember, in the 4-hour time frame, we saw the RSI move to a new low, so a brand new divergence is likely going to set up. Now, there's no bottoming signal here, but we did breach that 78.6 Fibonacci of the entire advance. So again, it was likely we were going to get a bounce there. Whether, again, a small bounce or bigger bounce, we don't know. Signals warned we're going to see some type of bounce here. Could stall. Currently, we're stalling at the 10. If we get above it, you can stall at the 20 period or horizontal resistance if we get a bigger rally here and move back into the 90,000 range. Eventually, we're going back to test 74,000. On the weekly charts, we had all these topping signals at the top, and again, the weekly signals have now confirmed a bear market. Beautiful topping signal. I got it on a couple of my indicators in the weekly time frame. We've confirmed a bear market, dropping below that 50-week moving average, followed by a closing below it, and then getting an open and close below it, by getting a bounce, and then we're going to go lower, like we did over here. When we confirmed, you got a bounce, you went lower, and then eventually made your way back to the 50. Weekly charts are all warning that Bitcoin's bearish and likely moving lower. Now we've confirmed a bear market. Daily chart here, got warning signs of a bounce. And we've rallied up to the 10 period. It's fizzling out right now as I'm making the video. We're down 2.29%, falling at the 10-day moving average in the daily time frame. If you can get above it, watch the 20 period moving average in the daily time frame. Weekly and monthly charts are very, very bearish. So with the weekly charts being bearish, any rally back up is going to be a counter trend. I think the weekly charts are going to remain bearish. We might flip back to bullish with the counter trend if we bottom out in January and we rally in the first quarter or maybe into April or something. They did turn bullish. Some of them turned bullish in the counter trend after the 52% drop. But then it resumed the sell-off. We reverted back to bearish signals, and you ended up seeing the bottom fall out of Bitcoin. But again, if you think these weekly charts are bullish, then you are a perma bull.